Hi ladies, how are you? Nice seeing you. Thank you so much for coming. We're doing today Parashat Pinchas, and I would like to do the shiur Le'iloi Nishmat my father-in-law, Michael Ben Leah. Tonight is his birthday, so שיתפלל באדם ישראל בעזרת השם. Okay, so today we're speaking about the inner truth. It's not an easy subject, but let's develop it slowly. About, I don't know, some years ago I was in Israel, and I remember it was 17 B'Tammuz, the day of fast. So they put on the radio Shlomo Carlebach's story. Shlomo Carlebach, he was doing it in a singing way, but he was talking about very, very, the life in, he was speaking about very special people, in Am Yisrael. So he spoke about Yosele the miser. I don't know if you know the story. In Krakow, so in Krakow, okay, in Poland, most of the people were very poor, didn't have money. And among them lived a very, very wealthy man. His name was Yosele. So in the beginning, when people didn't know him yet, they would come to him to ask for charity. So he would bring people into his house and ask them, what do you need? How can I help you? What do you want? Someone would tell him, I need to go to the dentist this week. The other told him, I need to buy new shoes. I need to buy a refrigerator. We cannot, do the Shabbat. We need help. So everyone, he would ask him what he needs. And then, so where do you live? How many bedrooms do you have there? What else do you need? And he would ask him and ask them. And after he gets from them all the information, all of a sudden he starts screaming at them, but you know that I'm not helping. But you know that I don't like to give charity. Why do you come to me? And with screams and yells, he would chase them away from his house. Doing it once, 2, 3, 5 times, after a while, people got so angry of him, so upset, and started to call him names, started to curse him, and that's how it used to be. When this guy, Yosele, the rich man, was supposed to die, the Chevra Kadisha came to his house. And they told him, listen, all your life you never contributed anything to the community. Give a nice sum before you die, huh? A nice sum to the community so that we could, build a mikveh or buy a shoe. I don't know, something, we could do something. No, I'm not into helping, I'm not into contributing or to donating, I'm not doing this stuff. So when he passed away, they didn't want to bury him. And 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it's לא כבוד באמת, זה לא טוב. And so one of his neighbors saw that it becomes, he decided in the middle of the night he's going to go and bury him himself because it's not the way, and he buried him at night time. Okay? This Yosele passed away in the beginning of the week. On Thursday, the chief rabbi of Krakow was sitting in his office. And people would come to ask all kind of questions and consult with him all kind of things and whatever. And all throughout that day, a lot of needy people are coming. Rabbi, we need help. I need help in this, and I need help in that, and we don't have money for Shabbat, and I need here, and I need there. And the rabbi is like, well, it's something new that came up? No, we need this. So I'm a rabbi here for the past 20 years. I never saw so many needies on a Thursday. What happens? So they say, we don't know. Every week on Thursday morning, someone slips an envelope full of money into our houses, and we don't know who it is. And this week we didn't get this envelope, and we need your help. The rabbi is, what happened this week that all of a sudden all of those people got up and started to complain? He was looking at the list of the community's, weddings, special events, this and that. He saw only one thing. Yosele, the miser, passed away that week. Even didn't get a burial or the appropriate burial that week. So then he made 1 + 1 and said to himself, probably he was doing all this chesed hidingly, secretly, when no one knew what he was doing. He felt so bad the way that they treated him that he said, this coming Sunday, I want to invite everyone to the shul. We'll make a nice big assembly, and we will say Tehillim. We're going to fast because it's not good whatever we did. We're going to ask for His forgiveness. We're going to pray, and hopefully, And so that's what happened on Sunday. They all gathered to pray. They fast. They pray. They said Tehillim. They asked for forgiveness and everything. And then all of a sudden, the rabbi lost his conscience, passed out. After he woke up, he said, I saw Yosele, the miser, and I asked him, what happened? Yosele told him, Rabbi, you didn't really have to do this assembly. I know that it bothers people who are living in this world when people don't respect them, when people don't honor them, when people look at them in a bad eye or something. I did whatever I did in a happy, I knew what I was doing. When you want to be true to yourself, when you want to do a mitzvah that is a full, pure mitzvah, whenever you're doing charity and everyone knows of your donations, what kind of charity it is when everyone knows that you help? People come, you need to hear the thank you, the kol hakavod, all the praises and everything. Otherwise, people won't. And if you don't write your name on the shul, people don't like to give. I wanted to give from a pure heart, with no other intentions. I didn't care that people don't know. And something is the best thing that I did. I know that people didn't come to my funeral, but you know who greeted me in heaven? Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, David, Yosef HaTzadik. They all came to honor me over there, and that's my greatest thing. But I'll tell you something, even though now that I'm in Olam HaEmet, the world of truth now, what bothers me the most is that I cannot continue giving those envelopes, because I loved doing this chesed, helping out people. Okay? When the rabbi woke up, he told this to the people. He said, this is Yosele Kamtzan Kadosh. Kamtzan in Hebrew is the stingy person, right? Miser. But he was a holy one. Okay, so this is when we don't know the intentions of all kind of things that we do, and sometimes your choices is what you make. When you make a choice, this is what makes you a real person. Okay. So in this parasha, we're talking about Pinchas. Pinchas did a very great and heroic action. And we know that Bnei Israel, they started to do a scene with the Bnot Moab and Bnot Midian over there, okay? And Moshe is in confusion, the other leaders are in confusion, they're in shock, they don't know what to do. Pinchas did an action. How did the Jewish people look at this Pinchas action? Let's start with a story. There was this man, a villager, very, very ignorant, simple man, that he had a nice field, and that year he had a nice crop, there was a lot of rain, and he wanted to bring it into his barn, before the real winter starts, So he piled on his wagon all these grains that he collected, all these the grains and the crops and whatever, he piled them, but instead of coming back and going back and forth, he decided he wants to do it in one shot. He loaded his wagon with all these grains and everything, and went to his village to put everything in the barn. Now he wants to get into the barn, to put it into the barn, but he cannot go through. He cannot go through because it's so the opening is small, and the wagon is full and loaded with grains. How can he put this inside the barn? So he's trying, he's pushing his horses, he's whipping the horses, he's trying as much as he can. He cannot really do anything about it. A con man a camel, bad. And he wanted to take advantage of this fool person. He tells him, why are you whipping your horse? It's no point. You see that your wagon is too loaded. I have a special wondrous device. It's called binoculars. You're going to put the binoculars in your eyes. And you know what it does? It makes the opening so much bigger. So then you will be able to go through. That's great. How much can I pay you for that? He gave him an amount, I don't know, $50, let's say. He said, okay, fine. He gave him the money, and this guy left. So he's trying as much. He sees from the binoculars, it's a big opening now. He's trying as much as he can to get into, but he can't. The horses will not go through. He couldn't do that. So he's frustrated. He's nervous. He's aggravated. He's so angry. And he sees him from afar. He says, hello, your device is not working. What should I do? He says, if you turn it over to the other side, your horses are going to look too small. Don't worry, you paid. Your money is worth this thing. Just do it. So with a lot of excitement, he goes, he turns it over, and he really saw that the horses became so much smaller. So he's trying as much as he can now to push this and that. Still didn't work out. He got so upset. He didn't know what to do. He started crying and crying. So one of his neighbors went by and told him, listen, it doesn't matter how you look at these things. Your outlook that won't change the reality, But what you see, the reality is that your wagon is full of stuff. Take some out, okay? Lower this pile, and you will see that you will be able to go through. And that's what really helped this guy. What we're talking about here? We're talking about most of us, whenever we want to match our personal philosophy, okay? We put certain lens, and we want to look through this lens and change the reality sometimes around it, and it won't work. Sometimes the interesting thing is that when we seeing things, our sight is very flexible. Our sight is very selective, I would say. You will see, let's say, a friend that you like very much do a certain act, and you will judge her favorably because she's your friend. But the same person, somebody else that you don't like so much, will do the same act, and how terrible! How could she do such a thing? It's all that night. There was this a woman, right, mother, that her son and her daughter got married in the same year, okay? So after a while, she meets them. She goes to her son first, and she gets inside, and she sees that her daughter-in-law sits where her feet are up on the table or something, rests, while her husband, okay, her son, is washing the dishes after the meal, is doing the shopping, is putting the kids to sleep, and she's like, my poor son, my poor son, my poor son, my poor son. And then she goes to her daughter, and you know something? She sees the same thing. She lifts her feet, she puts it on top, and she said, Mom, I'm so tired, you don't understand, I'm so tired. And her husband, her son-in-law, washes the dishes, cleans here, putting the kids to sleep. But here, my daughter is really very, very tired. Here she understands of the same thing, her daughter-in-law and the daughter. But here she looks at this in this eye, and here she looks at this at that eye, right? So it depends how we look at things. So if a person, this is how people, they look at themselves. Towards themselves, they don't criticize themselves. They're pure, they're good, but towards others, we like to criticize a lot. And so it depends on our outlook, but the truth is one. You cannot have many truths. Truth is one. It says in Masechet Yoma, look how strong it is when people are sometimes biased about something. It says that the Kohen HaGadol, the high priest, okay, he used to have a lot of advantages, of course. He used to have even a Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit Divine, the Shekhinah was on top of him. He was a very special, holy man, right? But they would not give the Kohen HaGadol to rule when it's going to be a leap year and when it's not going to be a leap year. You know why?
Why?
Very, very, in a way, small reason, not so important. Sometimes, they have to rule when it's going to be a leap year, and they won't give it to the Kohen. Why? Because whenever it's supposed to be a leap year, so Chodesh Tishrei, okay, is the month of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. He needs to work in the Holy Temple. If it's a leap year, it becomes Chodesh, the code of Chodesh Cheshvan becomes Tishrei, because it's a leap year. Okay? It's chilly already at that time. You know how many things the Kohen HaGadol needs to do in the Holy Temple? Barefoot.
Yes.
And he needs to go to the mikveh so many times, and needs to change his clothing so many times. So because he could be biased, because he doesn't want the weather to be too cold, he won't decide when it's supposed to be a leap year, even though that year is supposed to be a leap year. Unbelievable how they won't give the Kohen HaGadol to rule about this.
So who does?
So the other rabbis, the Sanhedrin, the other rabbis decide for that. It speaks about the Baal HaShach. Baal HaShach, he wrote a book by the name Siftei Kohen. Initials is Shin Kaf, the Shach. Baal HaShach, everyone called him Baal HaShach. And he lived around maybe 1,000 years ago, something like that. So once he got into disagreement with one of the biggest and honorable people of Vilna. He was a rich man, that guy. And he got into some kind of a financial problem with him, and they went to Beit Din. So Harav Shach, he was sure that he's right, because he's such a great rabbi. And he learned all the laws in the Talmud regarding this issue. He read all the halachic ruling of the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch, all whatever needs to, our library basically, about this financial thing, and he was sure that he was right. When the court came, the court started, okay, the Beit Din decided that he was guilty. And he's like, what do you base it on? I read all our sources, and I'm right. The head of the Beit Din took out from the library a book that's called Siftei Kohen, that the Shach himself wrote a year ago, was published a year ago, and he read it to him over there. The Shach was shocked when he saw that he himself wrote against whatever he believed now. Because last year when he wrote it, he wasn't biased. Now he's biased in this thing, so he ignored or forgot all whatever he wrote last year.
Wow.
It's so strong, this thing. So our self-interest, our preconceived notions, okay, our bad qualities, our emotions, okay, they are all lenses, sometimes dirty lenses, not pure lenses that through them we see the reality. And we cannot really and we have to, the only possibility for us to look straight, to look clear through them, is if we really eliminate, if we remove this self-interest, because that's the only way that we're going to see the truth. For this, we have to work very hard. Sometimes it's a lifetime work and consistent work, okay, to work on our qualities, to be on top of them, so that we understand the reality the right way, and we won't distort it, into any way that we want to lead it to. So the reason that we go sometimes to ask a big rabbi, okay, certain things, is because they see clearly than us. We are biased. We are, emotionally involved in all kind of situations that happen in our life, and the rabbi, they see the things the right way, and they could guide us in the right way. This is also the reason that the judges of Am Yisrael are supposed to be sonei betza. They shouldn't run after money and love money and get money, because if they are, they're biased, and that's the problem. So even the small bribe that people can get, it can blind the biggest people, in Judaism and in any other place, even the smallest bribe. The Tana Rabbi Ishmael ben Rabbi Yossi, he had a big field, and he had a tenant that he used to work for him. This tenant used to work for Rabbi Ishmael ben Rabbi Yossi. And this tenant every Friday would bring to the rabbi a basket from all the fruits that he had in his garden. Every week he would give it to him. One week he had to come to town on Thursday, a day before, because he had to go to a court that day. And he said, why should I come again on Friday? I'll bring the rabbi the basket already today. So he gave the basket to the rabbi on that day. Now, the Bedin, the rabbi was sitting as a judge, and he got this basket from him now. He says, I'm sorry, I cannot accept this basket. If I accept this basket, I won't be able to sit on this ruling. Hello, but it's your product. It's not the tenant's, it's yours. I'm sorry, I cannot, this is a bribe. And not only that he didn't want to accept it, he didn't want to sit to rule in his court also, to be a dayan in there. And interesting that as he was waiting outside, he heard from the door, behind the door, all the discussions inside. So he said to himself, now this tenant should say this, and now he should claim that. Now, because subconsciously he wanted him to win. Why? Because of a basket that he didn't even accept. Can you believe how people could be biased whenever somebody gives them a bribe? It's unbelievable. And now we're talking about this parasha. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Heshiv et chamati, says Hashem. Hashem testifies that Hashem was so angry of Am Yisrael, wanted to kill all of them, God forbid, because they were doing these sins with the girls of Midian. He stopped this plague by the action that he did, that he killed the president, the leader of Shevet, of the tribe of Shimon, okay? Bekan'o et kinati. Pinchas, he felt zealous for Hashem. The rabbis here said that Pinchas, he did it from a pure intention, and the Torah testifies. And even though he did it with pure intention, the Jewish people were, how come? How come he killed a president, a leader of Am Yisrael? Pinchas was young at that time. Zimri ben Salu, or his original name, doesn't matter, he was so much older. Some say he was 250 years old. A man that knew Torah, that knew halachot, that knew, it was one of the greatest rabbis. And he killed him. He said, how can, and they claim towards Pinchas was, how come you kill someone without even a trial? Let's judge you and decide if you're supposed to die or not. And he killed him without even a judge, without even a ruling, without even a mishpat. Pinchas saw that this Zimri ben Salu, he desecrated the name of Hashem. He did such a chilul Hashem. And he was afraid that if it's going to stay there for a while, it's going to ruin the holiness of Am Yisrael, or the whole Am Yisrael. And he stopped the Magefa. The 24,000 people already died in this plague, and he just stopped it. And the Jewish people saw that this plague stopped. The Jewish people saw that also by doing the way that he killed Zimri. There were so many miracles happened the way that he killed him, and still spoke about Pinchas. What did they say? Haraitem ben puti zeh? You see this guy? You know who's his grandfather? From his mother's side, he came from Yitro. Yitro היה מפתם עגלים לעבודה זרה. He would fatten calves for עבודה זרה, for idol worshipping. So because he was so into idol worshipping and this is negative person, this is how it came out now by killing this person. How did the Torah, how did the Torah call him? Pinchas, Ben Elazar, Ben Aaron HaKohen. His other grandfather was Aaron HaKohen. Same way that Aaron HaKohen was Ohev Shalom, Verodev Shalom. So the Torah testifies was Pinchas that did it for sake of peace. Did it to stop this killing in Am Yisrael at that time.
Who was killing who? Like, what Magifa? Like, what was?
So, in previous parasha, Bil'am, okay, wanted to curse Am Yisrael, couldn't do it. As much as he tried, he couldn't do it. So Bil'am told Balak, I'll give you an idea. Elokehem shel ze soneh zima. He hates adultery. So make them sin with non-appropriate women, and you will see that they will be cursed just by by that. So they brought this. They said old women in the front of the tent that would sell all kind of stuff, and the Jewish people would come and say, "What can you offer me?" They say, "Go inside. Inside there's a younger woman, nice-looking woman, and do whatever you want." And this is how these people would sin. They didn't want to sin in the beginning, of course, but this is how the Yetzirah, this is how inclination starts. You won't tell you do adultery because no one would do that. But by the way, slowly, they would bring them wine to drink, and they would, cause them and this and that, and this is how they started to do this sin. When Hashem saw that, He punished them by this big plague. A lot of people died, and the leader, the one that were doing this, was Zimri ben Salu, which was the leader of the tribe of Shimon. So in the middle of his act, as he was with the daughter of Melech Moab, Kozbi Batsur, he killed both of them with a sword. And he showed, them to the people. This is the end of these people.
Like a kebab.
Exactly. So that was the idea. That was what happening.
How can someone like this
And here, the Jewish, the people of Israel, they say, "How come you did such a thing? He was a great man. How come you killed him without even a trial?" So they started to speak against him, against Pinchas. So we say over here, what was the motive of Pinchas? We say that Pinchas did it with a pure heart. And because he did it with a pure heart, Hashem told his reward was Hineni noten lo od briti shalom. That from his offspring will be always the Kohanim, and the Kohanim was Aaron, and also shalom between his body, his materialistic body, and his spiritual body, and his neshama. And we know that whenever there is a shalom between the body and the neshama, so the person doesn't die, and Pinchas never died. Pinchas became Eliyahu Navi, and he's like an angel that lives forever. So was, and I'll come back to Pinchas in a second, so was with the daughters of Tzlofchad. Right afterwards, the daughters of Tzlofchad, 5 daughters, come to Moshe and tell them, "Our father died in the desert, and we want a portion in Am Yisrael." How did they come to him? Our father died not because he was in the rebellion of Korach and Adato. He believed in you, Moshe, and your leadership. He died because he cursed Hashem, whatever. So Moshe, it says that he brought their matter in front of Hashem. Hashem should judge, not him. And the question is why? Why Hashem should judge and not him? That's the question. So Moshe felt that because they said they believed in you, our father believed in you, he knew that you were right, he felt that it's like kind of a bribe. And because of that, he didn't want to rule for them, he wanted Hashem to rule for them. And I want to give you some examples about that in our Torah, in our sources. See how great were our leaders that went with their inner truth, didn't let, you know, themselves to be biased, and if they felt that they were biased, they went all the way against.
They removed themselves from the situation.
Speaks about David HaMelech. King David, when he dug the foundations to build the Holy Temple, the first temple, it says that the groundwater started to go up and up and up and up and started to flood the whole world. So David HaMelech is asking a question. He announced, whoever knows if it's allowed to write the name of Hashem on a parchment or on a clay and to throw it to the groundwater, is it allowed to do it and erase the name of Hashem? So speak up. No one answered. No one spoke up. No one said anything. King David came out again with an announcement. If somebody knows the answer and he doesn't give me the answer, he's going to be choked. I will punish him by choking him. Something like that. This is when Achitophel came up and said, Kal v'chomer. If it's allowed, in order to make peace between husband and wife, it's allowed to write the name of Hashem and to put it into the water, even though the name of Hashem is going to be erased, it's allowed. Definitely, for the peace of the whole world, if you're going to throw it, of course it's going to be allowed. This is when King David threw this piece of clay with the name of Hashem, and the groundwater stopped flooding the world. This is how he prevented the destruction of the world. The big question is, why didn't David know exactly the answer himself? From the question, you know that he knows the answer. Why he was waiting for someone to rule on that, to give him an answer, and why he was, threatening by punishing. So it says something interesting. It says, Baal Aruch LaNer says like that. I'll stop here in a second. I'll go to another thing, and I'll go back to it again. When King Shaul was chasing David HaMelech, so at one point his son Yehonatan, he's the prince, he's meeting David, and he tells him, "My father is chasing after you, and I cannot do anything about this. So please run away." They hugged, they kissed, and they cried. And David HaMelech had to run away. From his excitement, Yonatan forgot to give him some food to the road, because he's on the road now. And some weapon for self-defense. So David HaMelech was forced to go to Nov Ir HaKohanim, which was a close by city. Nov is a place that only Kohanim used to live there. And you know what happened? He came to Achimelech ben Achitu, which was a Kohen HaGadol, and told him, please give me some food, I'm hungry, some bread and something to defend myself. This Kohen HaGadol, he knew that he is the son-in-law of the king. Of course he will give him something. So he gave him food, and from some reason, the sword of Goliath was there. As a souvenir, he gave it to him. I'm sure it was a huge thing that no one could carry it, because Goliath was a huge man, he was a giant, right? But King David took it. Who was there? Doeg HaAdomi was there. Doeg HaAdomi went to inform to Shaul HaMelech that this Kohen Gadol, Achimelech ben Achituv, he is mored b'malchut. He rebels against the king. Why? He gave him the sword, and he gave them. Probably, they're also against the king. When King Shaul heard that, he ordered to kill all the people of Nov. Children, women, men, all the Kohanim.
Jew
to kill them.
That's crazy.
So, Doeg was punished. And אין לו חלק לעולם הבא. We know whoever speaks לשון הרע, אין לו חלק לעולם הבא. He's Doeg. Shaul was punished because of that. He was killed in a battle, in a very bad way. He was killed in a battle against the Plishtim. What about David? David's main question now. the fact that he didn't tell the whole truth to the Kohen HaGadol, and because of him, all these Kohanim died, is he responsible for his death, even though it was indirect or not? That's the question of David HaMelech. Is he responsible for their death because it was an indirect killing? Was it because of him or not? Was he supposed to be punished or not? Are people punished because of that? Achitophel was present there. He knew the answer, and he didn't answer him because Achitophel didn't like David HaMelech. Achitophel felt that he needs to be the king instead of David HaMelech. So he didn't want to answer them, to answer David HaMelech. And so King David waited with that, and when he started to dig the foundation for the Holy Temple, after he became the king himself, so this is when the groundwater went up, and he asked the question purposely, because he wanted Achitophel to answer him, that if, indirectly the name of Hashem is going to be erased, okay, so is his punishment indirectly for killing the Nov, will he be punished for that or no? Okay? Mm-hmm. This is how he knew from Achitophel's answer that whenever there is a grama, okay, it's not a problem. Interesting, right?
Whenever there's a what?
Whenever there's a grama is indirect thing. Okay? It's not a problem. So
it's not his fault.
Huh?
It's not his fault.
It's not his fault. It wasn't his fault. No. King David wasn't.
Yeah, but later on,
Yeah.
King David's whole family was massacred.
For other.
But that was part of it also.
For other reasons.
Indirectly.
For other reasons. So was what happening. You have to understand. Whenever there is a kingship,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that in the hair, it's a problem.
Yeah.
The kings I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but they were always, the Gentiles, always trying to have not too many children. Because if there's too many children, they're going to start fighting with one another. And for power, because, King David married with 18 women. Of course there would be a lot of intrigues, a lot of problems, of course, it's part of this. What can you do?
That would be a great drama series in Hollywood.
So was when King David was supposed to die. He left an inheritance to King Shlomo. Now, when somebody dies, his last moment, does he think about what kind of financial, about the last moment. Usually, people are trying to do the truth. People are trying to do chesed. People are trying to help. They don't care so much about what they cared so much whenever they were alive. How come King David, before he dies, he orders Shlomo HaMelech to avenge from Yoav and from Shimi ben Gera all his lifetime? Even though he was supposed to kill them a while ago, they were Mored B'Malchut, also rebellious against the king. He was supposed to take care of them a long time ago to get rid of them. He didn't do this. Why? Because he thought, I may be biased, okay? And I want to do it with pure intention, not whenever I'm biased. So he left it to King Shlomo to do it on the right way, in the right time. This is King David. King David that said in Tehillim, "Va'anochi tolat velo ish." What am I? I'm like a worm. I'm nothing special. So in his lifetime, he didn't want to be biased at all, and he wanted to. Why did he tell Shlomo to take care of this after his death? To punish them at all? So why to punish them at all? Because he didn't want them to suffer in Olam Haba. Better that they will be punished in this world and not in the next world. This is how true was David HaMelech with his actions. So in his last moment, thinks about this too. So let's go back to Moshe and Pinchas. It says that because it says the commentators are asking, why did Moshe was lazy in killing Zimri ben Salu? Pinchas had to come and do it. God forbid. It's not that he was lazy or something. We just know that Zimri ben Salu, he was chutzpahdik against Moshe. He tells him, Mi tilecha, why you were allowed to get married with a non-Jewish woman, Tzipora, daughter of Yitro, and I'm not allowed to get married to this shikzah over there. Okay? And he spoke very not nicely, the way, and Moshe Rabbeinu, he prevented himself from hurting Zimri, so also he would not think that he is biased, because he insulted him. He answered, or he punished him in this way. And at that moment, Pinchas was the one that took action. And this was the problem of all these people that objected Pinchas, because Pinchas also comes from Yitro. So they say, Pinchas did it because he wanted to clear his name, because he also comes from Yitro. They wanted to say, Pinchas is also not pure. He's not coming from a pure family, and he did it for this intention. And we know that it wasn't true. לפיכך בא כתוב ויחסו לאהרון. The same that Aaron was אוהב שלום ורודף שלום, so was Pinchas. Pinchas got these qualities from Aaron, and the Torah testifies for that. Okay. And now, Shich HaKadosh says something very nice. It says, there was this guy that cursed Hashem. Who was he? You remember? Who was the guy? The son of Shlomit bat Divri. We said last week when we spoke about Korach, we said, Parashat Korach, who was this son of Shlomit bat Divri? Okay, he was the one that Moshe Rabbeinu had to take care of him, the Mitzri, the Egyptian. Shlomit bat Divri. Okay, it was nighttime. She didn't even know who it was. It was the Egyptian that was with her instead of her husband, and from this came this. So, it says, Hashem tells to Moshe, "Hotzeh et hamakalel michutz lamahane." Take this one that spoke, that cursed, take him out of the camp. And instead, it says in the Parasha, "Vayotziu et hamakalel michutz lamahane." The Bnei Israel took him out, not Moshe. Bnei Israel took him out. Why? Because they didn't want that people are going to speak about Moshe. Oh, you persecuted him because these people, you had to run away from Egypt, run away from your family, go to be as a refugee in Midian for so many years, not being with your family, okay? And now you're going to persecute him happily. So instead of you, we're going to do it, because we don't want people to think that you did it, because he dishonored you, because they spoke against you, because they caused you so much sorrow, so much suffering. When, look at this, when Yaakov Avinu passed away, it says, "Vayimleu 40 days, vayavru yemei bechiyato." 40 days that people were mourning for him passed, okay, finished, okay. Vayavru, it says. But by Moshe, when he passed away, it says, "Vaitamu yemei bechi evel Moshe." These days finished, the days that people were mourning after him. Why is this difference between Moshe and Yaakov, the way that people cried for them? So the rabbi here explains like that. When Moshe asks to appoint somebody else instead of him because he saw that it's too hard, he goes through so much challenges with the Jewish nation. So Moshe said it because of a reason. When the daughters of Tzlofchad come and they ask for a portion, Hashem tells them, Moshe says, if they got inheritance, if their father, because of their father, they got an inheritance, I want my sons to continue my legacy too. I want them to get my honor, my greatness, my gedulah. I want them to continue to become leaders too. Hashem didn't accept it. Hashem said, Yehoshua will success you. because he was with you all the time. Your sons were not with you all the time. Yehoshua was there all the time. He is the one that will succeed you. So, from here, we see that when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, so Gershom and Eliezer, his sons, they didn't cry in front of all the nation for their father, because they didn't want people to think, oh, you're crying now because you cannot really continue leading us because Hashem didn't appoint you. So they cried privately. But when Yaakov Avinu passed away, okay, they cried for him. They cried 40 days, the whole nation, even the Egyptians, this and that, because here you see how even the sons of Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to be biased, didn't want their self-interest to influence, to affect them. It says about the Rabbi Miponovich that once one of the greatest rabbis in his generation passed away, and they asked him to speak in his funeral. He didn't want to do that. He said, I can't. So they asked him later, why didn't you want to speak in his funeral? He says, I'll tell you the truth. My grandson passed away recently too. I don't know what happened. He passed away. And I'm still grieving for him. And I didn't want that if I'll be too much emotional, you know, maybe I'm thinking about my grandson and not about this rabbi, and I don't want to mislead people and think that I'm, feeling sorry about this rabbi. This is fine middle these people had, you know. This is what we're talking about here. Another example that we have here about King David, so interesting. And so many times King Shaul was chasing after him. In one of the chases, he was hiding in the forest of the Carmel. Carmel now is in the northern of Israel. So at a certain point, his people, King David's people, were guarding the tzon, the sheep of Naval Carmeli. See how King David suffered. We don't even realize how he suffered from being chased, from being refuge, from running away from the king, from here and there. He didn't even have food to eat all this time. So because they did this favor to Naval Carmeli, there was this time that he did Rashit Agez. He cut the wool of his sheep. He threw a big party. So he came to him, King David, and told him, give my men something to eat. They're so hungry. He didn't want to give them this Naval. He even was very chutzpahdik to him, and he told him, you think that you are the king? I'll tell you what, I'm from the sons of Peretz, and I think that from Peretz supposed to continue the kingship, not from you. Who are you, David ben Ishai? You're not even important. This is the way that he spoke to him. The way that you speak like that to the king, he is a mored b'malchut. You need to kill him right away. So he wanted to kill him. He ordered his death, King David. The wife of Naval Carmeli was Abigail. Very, very smart woman. She heard what happened and she ran to the king. And she gave him something to eat and everything, and she told him, you want to order the death of my husband? Please have mercy on him. And he said, no, he's Morad Malachut. He spoke not nicely. So she tries this way, she tries twice, she tries to convince him not to kill him. And he said, he's a Morad Malachut, he needs to die. So what she did, this smart woman, she brings him a bdika, a cloth with some blood. She tells him, can you tell me if this blood is pure or not? He tells her, it's almost dark. You want me to check it dark night? Dark time you don't do this, you don't check these things. She says, at dark night you do, Dinena Fashot, you do night time. Dinena Fashot is killing a person, you do night time. Think over it, think about this tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to marry. Why to order his death right away? So, and then she added another thing. She told him, you know something? If you are going to kill him, remember that I was his wife, huh?
He's going to stay.
And no, remember that I'm his wife, and and don't forget about me. Meaning, the rabbis here say that she meant, I would like to marry you. She's Eshet Ish. And she was one of the 7 prophets that Am Yisrael had. How could you speak like that?
Wow.
So to understand that, the rabbi gives a small story, and then we can understand what she meant here. There was this yeshiva in Israel that used to distribute suits for Talmidei Yeshivot. They were needy, poor Talmidei Yeshivot didn't have anything, didn't have clothing. From time to time, once a year, they used to give them money to buy a suit. Now, this guy wanted to get a suit, and he didn't get it. He wasn't approved by the list. He said, what should I do? Well, I need a suit. So one of the elders, Talmidim, students in that yeshiva, gave him an advice. You know something? Go to this Rabbi Gershon Liebman, a story that said Rav Galinsky. Go to Rabbi Gershon Liebman, that was the Rosh Yeshiva, and start to yell at him. Yell at him. Tell him that he wasn't right. Tell him that he did something wrong. And he went to yell at him, to scream at the rabbi, okay? Even though it's not appropriate, of course, to do such a thing. But now, this rabbi, because he didn't want to be biased, okay? He didn't want to be biased because he spoke not nicely against him, so he decided he's going to give him the suit. Even though he didn't want to give it to him from the beginning. Why? Because he didn't want to be biased. This is what the rabbi explained about Abigail. Abigail tells him, don't forget that I will be available afterwards. What did she mean? So now King David, because of that sentence, didn't kill Nabal Armeli. Why? Because he didn't want to be biased. He didn't want this self-interest that he had to be in him and to want to kill him to get married to Abigail. So he kept him alive.
Like he had
But he
with
died
Bathsheba.
anyway.
He died anyways, of course. But it's not him. It's not him.
But
Like
that
he-
time he died?
The episode with Bathsheba was before or after this?
Bathsheba was...
Was also biased
It
then.
was-
I don't remember what was it.
Maybe before that.
But
You learned from the
Bathsheba
lesson.
was a different incident altogether. Yes.
What bias?
The Chachmei Musar say, and I'll finish with that, to make it even stronger, this question about being true with yourself. True with yourself. One of the very ununderstandable parashot in the Torah is the way that Yitzchak wanted to bless Esau. No one understands how come Yitzchak wanted to bless Esau, which was a wicked man, was a rasha, was a kofer b'Torah, was full of desires and did all kind of crazy stuff. How come Yitzchak Avinu loved him so much? And the rabbi,
For respect that he gave.
And the rabbi says, it says in the Torah, kitzayit befiv, because he bribed him. He used to come and tell him, how do you make maaser from the salt? Everyone knew that you don't have to do maaser. And this is how he used to deceive his father, ki'ilu is the righteous, ki'ilu is a tzaddik. Okay? And we know that Yitzchak Avinu loved him and he believed in him and wanted to continue believing in him. Maybe he will become Chazer B'Tshuvah and everything. But still, the rabbi says, Vayav Yitzchak et Esav kitzayit befiv. And then, when he wanted to bless him, it says something like that. Right after he gave the blessing to Yaakov, and Esav comes to him and he screams, Father, give me a blessing too. Yitzchak was scared and he said, Miu efo hatzad tzayid. What is his expression? Yitzchak Avinu. Mi efo hu hatzayid tzayid. So hatzad tzayid. By the pshat, who was here before that gave me this offering before? Who was that? Okay, he got the blessing. Who was that? That's from the pshat. But the rabbis say, the Midrash say, that Hatzat Tzayid is the same parallel to the way that it speaks about Esav. Kitzayid befiv. It speaks as the same exactly word. Tzayid befiv relates to Esav. that spiritual bribe that Esav bribed Yitzchak, okay, this is the one that subconsciously affected Yitzchak, and he wanted to bless Esav because he believed that Esav is righteous, okay? And זה לשון המדרש, that the minute that Esav came into his father, with him entered the Gehenom, the hell. התחילו כותלי הבית מרתיחים. The house, the walls of the house started to boil from the heat of the hell. And Yitzchak Avinu is like, what is this? What's happening? Because when Yaakov came in, what did he feel? He felt Gan Eden, Erech Gan Eden, remember? He felt heaven. And when Esau came in, he felt hell. So he asked, so Yitzchak Avinu didn't understand. Was it me that was wrong? Was it Yaakov that was wrong? What exactly happened here? He didn't understand. מי איפה, מי הוא זה שעתיד להיאפות, the same איפה from the word להיאפות, to bake, to be boiled. Okay? Who is going to be boiled and God forbid burned in Gehenom? Me or Yaakov that, took this brachot? Hashem tells him, it's not you and it's not your son Yaakov. It's the hu hatzat tzayid. That's the one that, it says in Yalkut Shimoni, that bribed you all these years. Yaakov in a way came once, okay, in a disguise to get the brachot. But Esav all his lifetime used to bribe his father in a false way that he's a righteous man. And this is whatever Esav did now was just fixing the situation according to the true, mahalach over here, that it's Esav that caused all this false thing over here, and he's the one that's going to be punished in Gehenom. So Rav Dessler speaks here, this, that. It's a very long thing. It's a very hard topic to speak about, but let's focus on our inner truth. What motivates us? How true are we with ourselves? When we see how Pinchas acted, when we see how Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov, King David acted, okay, Moshe Rabbeinu, it can guide us, it can illuminate us the way to see the ultimate truth. Amen. Thank you. God bless you.